This is the Level Up Podcast. I'm Taylor Petrinovich.
And I'm Kelley Gilster of 618 Studios.
And we are on a mission to help wedding filmmakers and photographers level up their businesses so you can make more and work less.
We want to help you confidently take your business from mainstream to luxury, and it all starts right here. Well, hello, friends. Thank you so much for joining me for another conversation here on the Level Up Co podcast. Let me just adjust my mic. I'm in the studio today with Antonia with Dekora Albums.
Hello.
So excited to have you as your very first podcast episode that you've ever recorded.
It is, yeah. So I'm honored to be on this one. This is my first one. Thank you.
Amazing. We have such a strong presence of photographer listenership, and many of them are growth-minded and they're looking to incorporate additional ways to serve their clients and the client experience. And I think that one of the most amazing ways is through albums for, I think it's that next level of touch. And I really do see it as like a need, not a want. How has working for Dekora, and did you work for another album company, or you this like first time?
I didn't. This is my first time. So I have somewhat of like an art background. I do enjoy photography like in my spare time, and I have like for a while, and I grew up doing like arts and graphic designs and communication, but this is honestly my first time being like exposed to the whole world of photography and this whole industry. And honestly, it's been amazing. It's been beautiful, and it's made me understand like the importance of storytelling and how like tangible products can add to that, because working for an album company, we see what a difference it makes to like the client experience, to have something that they can like actually hold and treasure, and to their families as well, considering like a lot of parents and grandparents have cared from, back in the day. But I think it's really growing into like younger people as well, which we can talk about. But
I actually want to talk about that. I'd love to talk about that. So when it comes to Gen Z, what are you seeing as the need and demand for albums having a tangible good rather than just that digital gallery that they walk away with at the end?
I think so. Two things. I think it's pretty similar to other generations in terms of wanting that like handheld experience, in terms of like being able to like feel a memory like physically, literally when you're seeing it. But I think the difference that I'm seeing with Gen Z photographers and Gen Z clients versus like older is I think the types of albums that are being shown, and similar to how I think photography is evolving into more of like documentary style, more spontaneous, more like realness that like I think Gen Z is often associated with. The albums themselves are kind of reflecting that, in the sense that people are asking for more like personalization when it comes to their albums. So like, for example, some people even want to incorporate like pieces of their wedding dress into an album, or putting their vows onto like the end sheets, like the back pages of an album. So everything becomes super, super personalized, that I've noticed with Gen Z. And it's made us want to incorporate as much as that as we can into our products. Because of course, like, I mean, an album is an album. There's only so much you can do and create like with a product like that. But we're trying to add little elements of like personal touch into everything, whether that may be like the end sheets, or putting in like invitation pockets that they can put their like vows into, or like their menus or anything like that. So I think Gen Z is big on like everything being more personal and real, and I think we're trying to translate that into albums as well.
That's so cool. It becomes almost like a memory box.
Exactly.
Not just an album, but a memory box. And a memory box is so beautiful because you have like baby boxes. And I was gifted actually like a little bridal box, like at one of my bridal showers. Of, like, here's where you put all of your special things, like
a little keepsake,
your garter, and like RIP to the garter, but like all the things. And so I think that's so special, and I love to hear that, because I don't think that, and you actually you surprised me when you said that you see Gen Z moving back to that. And I love to see that, because our brand, like my filmmaking brand, is a very sentimental, legacy-driven, heirloom piece type of client. And I was a little bit nervous because I know that we're coming into a shift of like the millennials not getting married as much because they've like kind of passed on from that era of their lives, but now Gen Z, and I was hoping that wasn't going to go away. So I think that's so amazing.
I don't think it is. I think it's maybe just being done differently than before, but I honestly don't think it will. I think we're seeing that rise in like a lot of different artistic industries and endeavors. So I think Gen Z is just choosing to like just see it differently, I guess.
Taylor and I are like chronically on TikTok. I don't know if you are too.
Yes.
Yes, but you see these younger Gen Z influencers that it's the rise of like the needlepoint, like the grandma hobbies. The grandma hobbies are coming back.
The scrapbooking,
like,
the knitting. Yes.
All the things.
Everything is becoming like touch and like feeling.
Yes.
And, yeah.
So when you said that you see Gen Z gravitating more towards that, I'm like, oh, I'm seeing it already in these ways that these Gen Z influencers that I see on TikTok are like, come with me as I go to a needlepoint store for my next needlepoint project.
Yeah.
And then all that. I'm like, okay, yeah, the knitting, the scrapbooking, the needlepoint, it's 100%. All kind of coming back to those core touch points of creating something really special and memorable for others.
And real. Yeah. Because I think Gen Z, and I'm Gen Z, so I guess I can speak on this myself. Like, I think they have this fear that like the real is like disappearing because of how we grew up in like a very digital world. So I think that's why it's even more on the rise, kind of just like counteracting that. So like I have so many friends, I don't, because I don't know if I have the patience for it, but who can like knit and who love scrapbooking, who love like printing everything and like every design they have, every like little invitation. Physical things are very much coming back, which is really good because I think a lot of people were worried that they were just like fully out once like everything became digital. So yeah.
I really despise a digital wedding invitation. So I'm so happy to hear that they want that realness of like that tangible good from that start point. It's almost like that invitation or the save the date or whatever. That's like the first step in their journey towards those tangible things. So if a client, like a wedding client, is really valuing something like that, you'll be sure that they're probably going to value an album as like the ending close to that chapter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because they definitely correlate. Once you have like a physical wedding invitation, I think that puts a precedent towards like, okay, I also want to have like my actual wedding put on display in like a physical way. Right.
Hey friends, really quickly, I'm going to interrupt this podcast episode because I just want to say we are so grateful to have you as listeners. Heading into our 2026 wedding season and into 2027 next year, we just know that so much is on the horizon for you. Because you're listening to this podcast, that means you are a really ambitious photographer or filmmaker, or maybe a content creator in the wedding industry who has sights set on the next level of business. The Luxury Mastermind program, which is our signature program here at the Level Up Co., is going to help you do just that. We have helped hundreds of wedding filmmakers and photographers elevate their businesses into that next level. A great example of this is Skylar Ball, who is a wedding filmmaker based in Tennessee, who was charging $3,500 per wedding when he joined our program, and now 18 months later, he's consistently booking at $12,000. We've had other students book their first five-figure wedding during our program, and we've had many, many students be able to double and triple their prices, which sounds crazy, but it's actually true, and we are so proud of them. If you are ready to see growth like that, if you're ready to get to that next level in business, book out your calendar year with weddings at a price point that you feel so proud of, and with weddings that are artistically fulfilling for you and that are just so fun to capture, we would love to welcome you inside our next round of the Luxury Mastermind. We are currently pre-enrolling seats before we officially launch, and students who pre-enroll get a bonus one-on-one coaching call with Kelley or myself, which is something we absolutely do for our students as a little thank you for signing up early. You can go to thelevelupco.com/mastermind to learn more about the program, see what's inside, and to pre-enroll. That should be linked in the description box down below if you're watching on YouTube, or linked in the description if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Kelley and I are so excited for our next cohort of the Luxury Mastermind, and we hope to see you in there so that we can guide you to that next level of business and beyond.
I love that. Yeah. I think so many photographers listening in on this one it'll give them confidence to want to instill album sales a little bit more heavily. Maybe they felt like it was like throwing spaghetti at a wall and nothing was sticking with some of these other clients over the past 5, 6, 7 years. So I think that'll really give them some hope of like, okay, cool, let's get it going again. When it comes to album sales, and you and I spoke a little bit off this conversation, but you had said like, I think that you talked about selling with storytelling in mind. Can you maybe speak to a little bit of like what you could see that working like? And because you're Gen Z, I actually love this. Like, what would be a selling factor for you if your potential wedding photographer were to like sell you on an album? And I mean, you're already sold, but like theory for Dekora, but like if you hadn't, like what would be a way that it would click for you that this is a need and not if just
I was like a wedding photographer.
If you're,
type,
so let's say you're a bride, you're a
client,
client, and your photographer comes to you and is like trying to sell you on this concept.
Well, I think especially when it comes to weddings, there's a lot of parts to it, right? Like there's first of all like the engagement shoot, there's the rehearsal dinner, then there's the actual wedding, then there's like the post-wedding brunch. And I think that if a photographer were to come to me and tell me that like they are just going to present me like one album that kind of is like a hodgepodge like mix of that, I don't know how like appealing that like idea would be. But if you're looking at that from like a storytelling lens where it's like, okay, what if we split this up into like almost like a magnum opus of like your wedding, like almost like this big epic like story, and you're going from like seamlessly from all these different like chapters, and then when you put that into like a physical, almost like we have like the legacy set, just like a pitch to that, it's like a several volume album set where you physically see like there's several chapters for like each moment. I think the fact that you can kind of like compartmentalize that in your brain, it feels less overwhelming, and you're like, okay, this is something that I want, and this is like it makes the day feel bigger almost, because it's like it's this big moment like story in your life rather than just like a few pages of like print, right?
Yeah.
I
have a side question too, because I hear sometimes from photographers saying, I love albums, but I hate designing them.
Mm-hmm.
What does Dekora offer design services?
So not directly, but we do work with several super simple design platforms to use. So we are like our dimensions and our margins are integrated into Fundy albums, into Smart albums, and then AlbumWorks as well. So that makes it super easy for a photographer to just take their photos, import them, and you could either even do like the auto design feature, which is great, and you can like even switch some things like in and out, or just fully design it from scratch. But either way, it's a super fast and easy way like to design something like under an hour, and then you just like export it and send it off to us. So makes it much less overwhelming for a photographer. Yeah. And we use it too, like when we're designing our samples. So I know firsthand that it's really easy to use. So
that's great. Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, because I think that's either it's like something they just don't want to do, or it's an intimidating piece where they don't really know quite yet. But that's why a template is so great. Like, love a template.
And you have like, you can literally like scroll through the different templates and like just what works for each photo. Sometimes you want like a full spread. Sometimes you want to give space to certain photos. Others just like small tidbits here and there. So it's really easy. Yeah.
That's great. If a photographer's sitting here, maybe they're a couple years into the industry, they've never offered albums to their clients before, what would be your recommendation that you've seen works really well? I mean, Taylor and I, we coach our students through things at different levels, but I feel like you and I share the same sentiments. Like, you have to just let them know that you do offer it.
Yeah, I think so. I've heard photographers look at it two different ways. I know photographers who offer it in every single package of theirs. So it becomes part of the experience that you're telling, like selling the story, right? And that works for some people because the couple knows what they're getting going into it exactly, and they can already like get excited about it, right? But then there's also the lens of like selling your services as a photographer, and then afterwards, because they're already paying that like large sum of money, it doesn't seem like a big ask for you to like include albums in there, as opposed to like maybe having a pretty big amount of money beforehand that they're like, oh, this seems like intimidating, this is a lot. So it really depends on, I guess, your price point as a photographer and what you think works better for your clients. But I think it is good for your clients to know in general that you do offer albums. Whether you kind of push it from the beginning or the end, that's kind of up to the photographer. But
yeah. And I think also depending on the market as well too, because we've had different mastermind students like include albums at different selling points of their journey. And it is very true. It depends on what level of client and what level of investment that they're making. On if that album is pre-included in that package, if it's something that they sell right from the beginning, they know they want, if it's something that's like a post-wedding upsell in a way. And so there's a lot of different ways. And I mean, the great thing about albums too is that like they have that gallery. This could be something that's sold to them 3 years later, 5 years later.
I've had so many photographers that I've talked to even during this conference that like have told me that they have like several couples asking them now that have had their wedding like 4 years ago, that maybe they're seeing like a cool album that's just like on the market now, and they're like, can we like design our album now? And they're like, yeah, of course. So that's the good thing about albums, like they'll always be around even if you're not necessarily selling them. But of course we recommend having it like initially as well. But
yeah.
it's always an option.
Last bit, you guys are doing such cool things at Dekora right now. You have those traditional like linen books and all those like leather and linen, right?
Yep.
But you guys have a really cool one that's like a coffee table book.
Yes.
Walk me through that.
So that is our editorial album. So that's one of my favorites. And I think it's safe to say that it's a lot of people's favorites that I've seen at the show. It's super cool. So we launched it last year. And it's basically like what you said. It's a coffee table book. And it comes in all the sizes, but usually people tend to go bigger because that's usually what the coffee table books are. And they're photo cover. So on our website, to make the cover design process easier, we have either templates that you can use, like Photoshop templates, where you can just drop in your photo, change the text a little bit, send it off, be super easy. Or you can design it from scratch because some people want like a more hands-on experience in terms of the cover design. But you can also have your cover either glossy or matte, depending on like the vibe you're going for. And it's definitely something that we did because we wanted a less traditional approach to albums. Because like you said, of course, a lot of couples still prefer the classic linen debossing, just like standard wedding album that's like beautiful quality. But other people that maybe have a more haute couture lens, or that they're just like a little more different and they want to like show off their photos in a different way, that's why we created it. And also for photographers who like, you know, I'm sure everyone sees their work as art, right? So to have it like put on the cover of an album is like stunning. So we're really excited about it.
Stunning. When I first went by and I looked at them, I thought that it was like Greg Fink like launching a new book. Literally.
He's selling a new book on the market. Yeah.
Yes, I literally thought, I was like, wait, I didn't know Greg Fink had a book. And then when I spoke to you a little bit later, like the next day, and you explained that, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I was fooled. It literally is like a coffee table book. I thought that Greg Fink launched a coffee table book.
Yeah. I think someone also said that to me. They were like, is he selling these? I'm like, no, but I can ask him if he wants
to.
He
should.
Yeah, he should.
Because I have John Dolan's book on my coffee table. And I like browsed through it and stuff. So I was like, oh, like that's cool. New book?
That would be funny. Yeah. I mean, maybe. I'll ask him, but
you should highly consider.
Yeah.
We love Greg. All right. Well, Antonia, this has been so great. Like, you are so knowledgeable. No one would have known this was your very first podcast recording ever. Thank you so much for your time. If people want to find Dekora and learn more, how can they find you on socials or website or wherever else?
So it's Dekora Album on any platform. So Instagram at Dekora Album, dekoraalbum.com, TikTok at Dekora Album. So pretty simple. If you're messaging on any of the socials, you'll be talking to me. So hello. And yeah, we can also, our email is contact@dekoraalbum.com if you want to get in touch with the rest of the team in terms of more like logistical things. We're also, you know, super around on socials as well. So whatever you choose.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. This has been so insightful. And I hope that many more photographers listening in consider Dekora for their album go-to.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. This has been really fun.
Thank you for joining us in today's conversation. Please help us reach more filmmakers and photographers like you by taking a screenshot and sharing it to social media. And don't forget to tag us at The Level Up Co.
And join us again next week, same time, same place, as we continue to level up the industry together.